State Senator Joe Zakas.
Thank you, Kelly, and thank you, citizens, for Common Sense for hosting this evening. I got to have a little throne here, and it reminded me of some of the discussion that goes on in the State House. That people in the House of Representatives like to tell us, senators, well, you're the House of Lords. Now I can tell them I actually had a little throne here at this meeting. Now, I'm sure that will impress them to no end. Now, that does not count toward the 3 minutes.
Oh, okay.
It's been an honor and a privilege to serve in the Indiana Legislature and Indiana State Senate. And before we decided to run again, we sat down with my wife and, like we have done in the past, decided, should we go forward? And because of my dedication to the community and my commitment to this community and its well-being, I decided to go forward and run again for state senator. To me, it's a matter of representation. Am I doing a good job representing my district, this community, and this state? And I try to listen carefully and to be a voice, especially for my district. And I hope the voters will say, yes, you have done a good job representing us. There's a lot of issues and priorities to talk about. For Indiana, of course, having a balanced budget. We have had a very, very troubled economy in the United States, but we have balanced the budget in the state of Indiana. Our budget is in the black, not in the red like most other states. And I have to commend Governor Daniels and the administration for being very focused on ensuring that our budget in Indiana is balanced. What kind of if you want to attract jobs, if you want to expand jobs in this state, you certainly want to have a state government that is responsible in that manner. And I believe that we have accomplished that, and we will accomplish it in the future. I could talk about some of the ways I've worked at creating jobs in the state. Maybe we can leave that to a later question and answer period. We have worked hard through the Indiana Economic Development Corporation to bring jobs and expand jobs here. In the private sector, Indiana has grown by 2.4% in the first half of this year, so tied for second in the country. Sadly to say, in a way, I guess, number one is Washington, D.C. But that is about 4 times the national average in terms of private sector job growth. Another important aspect for the state legislature is our property tax relief program. When I submitted the property tax relief program, the 1, 2, 3, came out a little different, but they did use that 1, 2, 3 idea to try to provide property tax relief to homeowners and businesses and to kind of go away a little bit from a reliance on property taxes. I think that more needs to be done. I plan to file a bill that caps the amount you can increase assessed valuations. I think that's very important. It is good to hear, though, since the year 2007, that homeowners in St. Joe County, 96.9% of them have had lower property taxes.
30 seconds.
We can talk about accomplishments later, but when you vote for a person. You cannot put an agenda on the ballot. If you're going to vote for a congressman, you can't put Nancy Pelosi's agenda on the ballot. You can't put the Senate Democrat leadership's agenda on the ballot. You have to vote for the person, but that is a little bit, that comes with it. Some of that agenda comes with it. And I'm proud that I'm part of the Republican caucus. I think we've had a reasonable, common sense approach to problem solving in the state of Indiana, and I hope I can be part of that again. Thank you.
Senator Joe Zakas, also running for the Senate District 11 seat is Democrat Fanello, who notified us early on that she wouldn't be able to make it tonight. On check, make sure nothing's changed. Okay, so she will not be with us tonight. For state representative in District 5, we have first Libertarian Ron Cenkush.
Thank you, Kelly, for having us here tonight, Citizens for Common Sense, and all of you for coming out. I'm a 1983 graduate of LaSalle High School and grew up about 10 blocks away from here on Diamond Avenue, so it's good to be back in my old stomping grounds. I used to deliver papers up until about 5 houses away from this church, back when I was about 12 years old. But in any case, we let me tell you a little bit about myself and then what I'd like to do if I was elected your next representative from District 5. After high school, I joined the U.S. Navy and served as a hospital corpsman for 5 years. And after that, got out and found that my hobby, computers, was a little more lucrative than healthcare. So, to provide for my family, I decided to go that route. I have a small business now where I help other businesses with their computer systems. And of course, we felt the recession like nearly other service-based businesses in this area has as well. But we're doing okay. And I've never considered running for office, really at any point in my life up until a couple of years ago. I never envisioned myself doing any such thing, frankly. But I'm really not happy with the direction of the country. And sitting at home, browsing the internet, and getting angry doesn't change anything. So I decided to throw my hat in the ring and give this a shot. The 3 issues that I'd like to focus most on, I'm one of the guys who does think we need to get rid of property tax. I think the caps were a step in the right direction. I mean, obviously they're trying to reduce the load on homeowners, but if you stop and look at property tax, as long as you own a home in Indiana, and for most of us, that's the most expensive thing we'll ever own. As long as there's a property tax, you really aren't the owner. If you fall on hard times, the government's going to take that from you, and you're out on the street. To add insult or injury, what happens to those folks? They probably get government housing, which comes from the rest of the taxpayers. So we're saying you didn't pay enough tax, get out. Oh, by the way, here's your new government home. So another thing is, when you take a look at businesses and property tax, the businesses don't really pay it. They pass it on in the cost of the goods and services to the consumer. So a lot of times, as legislators, we look to give abatements to attract business to the area. And oftentimes, of course, this is new business that we're focusing this on. If you move your business to Indiana, give it an abatement for a while, and then you'll pay your taxes later. But think of the way to attract business when you eliminate this tax. And now, all the other states around us are charging property tax. People will look to Indiana to come more than ever before. Plus, we'll reward local businesses who are already here by saying you no longer have to do this. Now the cost of their goods and services will be cheaper, and they'll compete better in the region and in the nation.
30 seconds.
All right. Spent a lot of time on property tax. The other things I'd like to look into are term limits for all elected officials. I think good politicians will limit themselves and can limit themselves and have in the past. I'm afraid it's the bad ones who don't. This is one of the biggest reasons why I think we need term limits for elected officials in Indiana. Also, I'd like to look at school choice, because at the end of the day, we could say what we want about fixing the schools. We could ask everyone here, and you might get 50 different ideas. Half of them would conflict with the other half. More religion in schools, less religion in schools, more discipline, less. No one knows best how to raise your child or what type of education than you. We need to look at vouchers or tax credits so you can choose the type of education that's best for your child. Thank you.
And also running for State Rep District 5 is current State Representative Craig Fry, who didn't respond. Is he here tonight? Okay. Then next we will talk to State Representative 6 candidates, Republican Duane Beals.
Thank you very much for putting this program together, and to Citizens for Common Sense for the invitation to all of us. Just a brief bit about myself. I graduated from Bethel College, have a Master of Divinity from Asbury Theological Seminary, and an MA and a PhD from the University of Notre Dame. I'm presently a professor at Bethel College and a part-time pastor at Bremen Bible Church. So I'm probably the only candidate here tonight that feels comfortable in the pulpit. My ministry has taken me around the world several times. For 10 years, 1998 to 2007, I served on the board of directors of St. Petersburg University in St. Petersburg, Russia. I made 14 trips to Russia in that 10-year period. I've also served for 13 years as the chairman of the board of directors of the United States Plastic Corporation in Lima, Ohio, plastics distribution company that does $40 million business a year. My wife Charlotte's a Bethel grad. We met there. She was a public and private school teacher for many years. We've been married 44 years. We have 2 daughters and 4 grandchildren. If you've seen my billboards around town, you're aware that the campaign on which I'm running is lower taxes and more jobs. Sounds familiar, doesn't it? According to the Indiana Economic Development Corporation, in the year 2009, last year, 150 new businesses came to Indiana. Joe Zakas referred to the IEDC, but you know not one of them came to St. Joseph County. There are 3 reasons given. Our taxes are too high, our county is not business friendly, and it's too costly to do business in St. Joseph County. Higher taxes drive businesses away. They don't bring them. B. Patrick Bauer and the other Democratic representatives from St. Joseph County who are supposed to represent you go down to the State House, and what do they bring back? A 0.5% higher property tax rate than 90 other counties in the state of Indiana. And you heard that correctly, 0.5% higher. If my home were in Elkhart County, I would pay $500 less property tax a year. Bauer is not looking out for you. If the Indiana Legislature had adopted the annual state budget originally proposed by House Speaker Bauer and the Democrat-controlled House, Indiana's surplus of over $1 billion would have been dissipated in a 9-month period. As I moved around the community, I've talked to a number of businessmen. I recently visited one on South Main Street. He's moving to Elkhart County because the taxes are cheaper. My opponent has been in office 40 years. During that time, South Bend and St. Joseph County have declined. Drive south on Main Street, north on Michigan, west on Calvert or Lincoln Way, and notice the difference. 40 years. My opponent has been in office since before Nixon beat McGovern, since before the Supreme Court made abortion on demand the practice of the country, since before Congress withdrew funding from South Vietnam, since before Jimmy Carter promised to give the country a government as good as its people, since before the United States Embassy in Tehran was taken over by terrorists, and since before the first vaccines were formulated for rubella, chickenpox, pneumonia, and meningitis. 40 years, nothing to show for it. It's time for a change. Vote for Duane Beals, the new man, on the plane.
Is Representative B. Patrick Bauer, who hadn't responded. Is he here tonight?